Hello, and welcome to Projected Meditation. Here we invite you on a unique journey beyond traditional meditation. Prepare to project your mind into captivating stories, feeling every emotion and detail as if you're truly there. This isn't just listening, it's an immersive experience designed to transport your consciousness through the power of narrative. To begin your projected meditation, please follow these simple steps. Find a peaceful space where you won't be disturbed for the next minutes. For the best immersive experience, please use headphones or earbuds. Lie down or sit comfortably, ensuring your body is relaxed and supported. When you're ready, gently close your eyes. This will allow your imagination to unfold freely. Take a few deep, slow breaths, inhaling peace and exhaling any tension. Now listen carefully for the signal. Upon the third chime, your journey will begin. The city was a cacophony, a relentless symphony of mechanical sound that had begun to fray the edges of Arthur's nerves. As a cartographer, he had dedicated his life to imposing order upon the chaos of the urban landscape, meticulously charting the geometry of streets and buildings. But the very act had left him feeling untethered, a quiet observer lost in a sea of noise. The city, with its frantic rhythm, had become a distraction. So when the offer came to map a vast, uncharted network of lakes and rivers in a remote northern forest, he accepted without hesitation, craving the clean, blank slate of the wilderness.
His journey began with the roar of a train and ended with the quiet chug of a small wooden boat. He was dropped off at a remote outpost, a single cabin, where he met Alistair, the taciturn forest ranger. Alistair was a man of few words, his face weathered like old leather, his movements deliberate and efficient. He handed Arthur a small canoe and a set of simple, sturdy tools. His presence, an anchor of quiet competence, seemed to absorb the vastness of the wilderness, making it less intimidating. Arthur, a man accustomed to the precision of rulers and the predictability of city grids, was now faced with the untamed, flowing logic of the natural world.
His first week was a study in frustration. The silence, so eagerly sought, was not the peaceful absence of sound he had imagined. It was a dense, living thing, punctuated by the sudden call of a loon, the splash of a fish, the rustle of unseen creatures in the underbrush. He felt a persistent unease, a hollowness that the city's noise had once masked. He spent his days in the canoe, his hands, more accustomed to drafting pens, now aching from the steady pull of the oar. He meticulously noted every inlet, every bend in the river, every island on the Great Lake, his pencils scratching on the heavy paper of his logbook. Yet the map felt sterile, a cold imitation of the breathing, flowing world around him. The feeling of futility began to weigh on him. He had sought to impose his ordered world upon the wilderness, but the wilderness resisted, its logic fluid and unpredictable. One evening, as the sun, a blazing orb of orange and purple, began to dip below the tree line, he found himself lost in a labyrinth of small, interconnected coves. His pencil felt heavy, his logbook useless. He stopped rowing, letting the canoe drift. The air was cool and still, carrying the scent of pine needles and damp earth. The water was like a sheet of dark glass, reflecting the vibrant sky with perfect clarity. A deep, profound stillness settled over him, broken only by the soft, almost imperceptible sound of the water lapping against the sides of the canoe. It was in this moment of quiet surrender that he saw him, an old fisherman, his small, weathered boat seemingly a part of the water, sitting silently with a single line cast into the dark depths. His face was a serene landscape of age and patience, his eyes half closed in a state of tranquil observation. He was not waiting for a fish, Arthur realized, but simply for the moment. The old man, a secondary presence in the vast landscape, was in perfect harmony with the world around him, a living counterpoint to Arthur's frantic inner struggle.
Arthur watched him for a long time, the weight of his own hurried existence slowly lifting. The old man's presence was a lesson in itself, a life lived not in the relentless pursuit of an outcome, but in the quiet, mindful engagement with the present moment. He watched as the old man, without a word, slowly reeled in his line, put his boat in motion, and disappeared into the twilight, leaving behind a subtle wake that rippled across the surface of the lake, a silent, profound testament to the quiet truth of his existence. Arthur, in that moment, understood that his map was not meant to be a record of a conquest, but a record of a connection, a way of giving a voice to the silent waters. He began to paddle back, the rhythm of the oar no longer a struggle, but a deliberate, meditative dance. His map, no longer a sterile document, but a living record of a world he was finally learning to feel. The revelation from the silent fisherman, a simple, unadorned lesson in the quiet art of presence, transformed Arthur's journey. The next morning, the aching in his hands, once a dull complaint against the work, became a source of quiet satisfaction. His paddle strokes were no longer a furious effort to cover ground, but a deliberate, rhythmic dance with the water. The rhythmic dip and pull of the oar, the soft splash, the gentle glide of the canoe through the still water, these were no longer tedious tasks, but the very act of living, a meditation in motion. His logbook, once a sterile record of his frustration, became a living document of his connection to the world. He drew not just the shape of the shoreline, but the intricate weave of the tree line, the subtle contours of the hills, the way the light fell across the water at a certain hour. He spent his days in this new rhythm, and in his newfound peace, he began to notice the small, living details he had missed before. The delicate web of a spider, glistening with morning dew, the whisper of the wind through the tall pines, the precise, silent flight of an osprey as it circled above the lake. He felt a profound sense of being a part of the world, not just an observer of it. This stillness within him, this quiet, unwavering presence, became the true subject of his map. The lines he drew were no longer an attempt to control the chaos, but a reverent tribute to the beauty of a world that existed in a state of natural, perfect order. His journey brought him, one afternoon, to a narrow inlet where a small, unassuming camp was set up on the shore. He saw two figures, a woman with a keen, focused expression, and a man with a heavy notebook. They were scientists, he realized, their precise, clean gear a stark contrast to the untamed wilderness around them. He watched from a respectful distance as they worked, their movements methodical and calm. They were taking water samples, measuring the depth, recording data in their notebooks. Their work was driven by the same desire for understanding that had brought Arthur here, but it was a different kind of understanding, one based on numbers and facts, on the cold logic of science.
Arthur paddled closer, and the man, seeing him, offered a nod. "Beautiful, isn't it?" the man said, gesturing to the vast, shimmering lake. "We're trying to understand its age, its composition. We believe this lake is a geological anomaly." The woman, without looking up from her work, spoke. "It's a marvel of nature. The quiet here, it's perfect for our work. It allows for complete focus." Arthur felt a pang of recognition. He had once been that man, that woman, seeking to understand the world through a sterile, methodical lens. He looked at their precise instruments, their clean notebooks, and saw the beauty in their work. But he also saw that he had found a different way. He had found a way to understand the world not just with his mind, but with his hands and eyes and his heart. He paddled away, leaving them to their quiet, methodical work. He was no longer a stranger to the wilderness. He was a part of it, a small, breathing element in a vast, living tapestry. The final leg of his journey was a quiet, almost spiritual affair. He reached the final point of his map, a high ridge that offered a commanding view of the entire lake, a mirror of the sky. The map, he realized, was not just a record of his work. It was a record of his journey, a silent story of a man who left a world of noise to find a world of silence, and in that silence found his own quiet, profound song. He sat on the ridge, the cool wind a gentle caress on his skin, and looked at the map in his hand. The lines, once cold and sterile, now felt warm and alive, a reflection of the journey of his soul. He packed his things, his work complete. He was no longer in a hurry. He would return to the city, but not as the man he once was. He would carry the quiet strength of Alistair, the gentle wisdom of the old fisherman, and the methodical calm of the scientists. He had found his rhythm, and in it he had found his home. The map he carried was not a record of a journey he had taken, but a map of a journey he had completed, a journey from a world of chaos to a world of profound peace. The canoe, a silent partner in his journey, now felt less like a tool and more like an extension of his own being. He was, finally, home. As this narrative journey concludes, hold its tranquil peace and insights. Now slowly return, feeling refreshed. Gently open your eyes to your present moment.